Bob, and thanks everybody for being here. I was thinking that there are a few that thought they were coming to see Shakespeare, right? Because this many people wouldn't show up in this day and age to hear a couple of politicians speak. It just doesn't happen, does it? But it hasn't before, but it happens now because it matters, and it matters to me. It matters a lot to me and my family. This is why I'm here. My wife and I laid up at night and talked about this, said it matters too much to stay home this time. Not that we ever have before, but this is when it's important. And I got to tell you, one of the things that was really important to us was we've recognized for a long time that government has some built-in checks and balances to it. Our founding fathers really were brilliant. I truly believe that they were the most intelligent and inspired group of people to ever come together in the history of the world. I read one time that the single greatest gathering of intelligence ever was when Jefferson dined alone. And we take this very seriously. And I discovered when I first got elected in 1997, the frustration of not being able to change things right away was difficult because government is built to be slow to change, but it has been changing, albeit it's sped up recently. It's been gradually moving to a more progressive stance over the last several decades. And I want you to be careful and recognize what that means. When progressives use the term, you've heard the term the Constitution referred to as a living document. Be very careful. That is a dichotomy. What they really mean when they say it's a living document is that it's a dead document. Yeah. That it's dead and it's worthless. And we need something else in its place. And we need to be paying attention. And an opportunity has presented itself to us in this state, in Nevada, and in our nation. And that is an opportunity that rarely presents itself. And that is we're at the bottom of an economic cycle. We have to recognize what an incredible opportunity that is in our state. Some of the things that Bob and Governor Gibbons just talked about in our health care bill are principles that go kind of across the board. We don't get a chance to change the way we do things and the way we look at things when we're at the top of our game economically. You just can't do it. But when we're at the bottom, this is an opportunity, and it's the reason I'm running. This is an opportunity. Now take that the other part of that opportunity, the bottom of an economic cycle. What do we know about the bottoms of economic cycles? Well, they do this. It will come back in the United States and in the world. It will come back. Where does Nevada want to be when it comes back? Do we want to be on the front edge of that curve, or do we want to be somewhere around the other side of it? And I tell you what, it's this simple. The governor talked about a budget deficit. You hear numbers from the media from, that 3.4 is the highest I've heard yet, but I hear $3.4 billion difference. And they say to me all the time, are you going to raise taxes or are you going to cut expenses? And the answer is, we will never do either enough if we don't return to prosperity. Okay, returning to prosperity is going to close that gap.
Bravo.
That's what's going to happen. We cannot be pro-jobs and anti-business.
Yes.
This is from Mr. Montanan. Governor Gibbons promised no new taxes. He stood by his word. But yet, he has a legislator that fought him tooth and nail all the way. I want to know what you think you could have done differently.
I want to tell you that I make the same commitment to no new taxes. And here's what's important. When you come into this, I have a long history of this. I got elected in a city that's still 59% Democrat and 22% Republican. You have to learn to work with the people. You have to use the bully pulpit. And I can't go back in time and tell you what I would have done differently, because I was busy running the city at the time the governor was busy running the state. But I can tell you what I will do in the future is we'll put them on the spot. Every single argument is going to be argued publicly and and through the media and out there in the open. So if they're going to make decisions that are going to reach into your pocket, they're going to do it visibly out in front of you.
I'd like to ask each of you, ask Governor, what will you and what can you do to stop illegal immigrants from taking all our tax money and using all our tax money?
Thank you. You know, I've said this often. I'm all for defending the border, but we can't build a fence high enough if the candy dish is on this side of the fence. If we keep telling them that if you just get over to this side, your quality of life goes up dramatically because we'll educate you and your family for free, we'll give you free emergency medical care anywhere you show up, and we've got welfare rolls. That we've now, as a state, as a governor, we are currently, and I mentioned it before, we have a Supreme Court ruling that overrides the education side that says we have to educate anybody who shows up without asking their nationality. We need a Supreme Court that we can revisit that ruling. We have got a federal law called EMTALA, for those of you in the medical care business. That means if you show up at the door of an emergency room, you get cared for no matter what. We need federal officials who will help us with that. That's a partnership between the federal and the state. On the welfare side, we can do something. That's where we can step in. I gotta tell you, I've got a 16-year-old daughter who's going through this driver's license thing right now, and every time we go to the DMV, there's one more piece of ID that she's missing. They've asked her for every document in the world, but we're not enforcing those same level of laws when it comes to our own welfare system. We need to step it up. That's all there is to it.
So as Governor, you can do something?
That's the one. The first, again, what I'm trying to explain is, as governor, you can't attack all three of those major ones. You can form a partnership with federal and to them, but you can't step up at least that one side of it.